Matthew Holt here, one of the most interesting people in healthcare, Dale Saunders, who is these days the Senior Vice President for Strategy at a company called Health Catalyst, really fast growing data warehousing and analytics company. And Dale, before that, did a bunch of stuff at LDS and Intermountain, was involved in founding the Health Data Warehousing Association, and even was like running the National Health IT system in the Cayman Islands for a while. I'm not sure you're still doing that. I'm not sure. Somehow it must be his diving strategy. Anyway, we're here to chat about some work that Health Catalyst is doing. That you guys have been doing these webinars and been very successful the last few months and years. You actually did a big conference last year, which you're repeating again this year, I know. But we've got one specifically coming up on April the 22nd about Microsoft. So let me tell you my Microsoft story from HIMSS that just happened, Dale. I was in a meeting. I was in one of the last sessions on Thursday, actually, and it was a guy called Dave Francis talking about the future of consumer health, blah, blah. And a guy stood up and he said, I'm a Microsoft guy. I work for Microsoft. They second me to big health systems. I help, deal technical architecture stuff at big health systems. And you're talking about the future of online consumer health. And the Google Health guys, they had that thing, it failed. We have HealthFort, we failed and closed it down. Oh, no, we didn't. So I'm not supposed to say that. So anyway, so that's kind of where people think about Microsoft and healthcare. I don't know if it went to Caradigm, but you're saying not so fast. So what's the story here?
Yeah, it's very interesting. In this webinar, I spend the first few minutes talking about my life on Microsoft, right? So I've been in IT now for 32 years, starting out in the Air Force and, now in Health Catalyst. And I put this timeline together, and I put all these significant events in my life that had some relationship to some event in Microsoft. And most of the time it's like horrible, right? I wanted to poke my eyes out. My Microsoft experience as a healthcare IT guy or just an IT guy in general has been terrible, right? Security problems, backwards compatibility problems, scalability problems. So, now I'm very bullish on Microsoft. So it's kind of unusual that I've completely turned my opinion. But
because they're no longer the evil empire monopoly that they used to
be. Yeah, it's fascinating. This webinar is about their cultural transformation as much as it is their technical transformation. It's fascinating. And, I was never a big fan of Bill Gates, never a big fan of Steve Ballmer. They're just contrary personalities to me. They're pretty wealthy, so I guess it shows that personalities like mine are.
They may care less about what you think.
Yeah, exactly. They definitely care less about what I think. But Satya Nadella is a different person. He's the new CEO. I mean, he's a very different personality. I've never met him personally, but I know folks who I trust in Microsoft that worked with him from the early 90s up until just recently. So they speak very highly of him. And you can see it in the cultural transformation. And now all their open source technology is kind of an amazing indication of that transformation. One of the slides that I have in the webinar is in 2001, the quote from Steve Ballmer is that Linux is a cancer. And in 2014, Satya Nadella, his quote is, Microsoft loves Linux. And so about 25% of Microsoft's new Azure cloud offering is actually running on Linux servers. So it's a very different culture now. And it's rolling into their products too, their analytics products.
Fascinating. So in talking about the work, can you explain a little bit, and maybe you're not going to talk about this, I don't know how related this is, your general view of the market to what actually Health Catalyst is doing on its side. I mean, how much of this is stuff that you guys are using in your analytics work on top of the data warehousing that you provide?
Yeah, you bet. So we're in this transition period, right, where relational data warehouses are kind of reaching their limits, right? And the truth is, relational databases were built for transaction processing. They were never really built for analytics, but we made them work for analytics, and they've been pretty good for analytics. But now we're in a level of not only data volumes, but data velocity, where real-time unstructured streaming data is a big part of the analytics future of the industry. And relational databases are just not set up for that. So we're on the downhill side of relational data warehouses in analytics for healthcare. but yet it's still just a little too early for Hadoop and NoSQL. And so what's really cool about the Microsoft strategy is they've bridged those two worlds very nicely with their product that's called Analytic Platform Services. And that's what we're using. So half of that platform is a traditional but very scalable, massively parallel SQL database, traditional relational database. Works very well for a lot of use cases. But then married up against that now architecturally is a Hortonworks Hadoop NoSQL technology base. And they have this product called Polybase that makes the transition between the two very easily. You can issue a query, a SQL query through Polybase, and take advantage of all those SQL skills that you have in your organization. And it will query that Hadoop Hortonworks platform just like it was a relational data warehouse. So they've really done an amazing job with this transition of both the skills as well as the technology and the data to the future. Very cool hybrid architecture.
Great. So in terms of just on the webinar itself that you guys do, what types of folks is it aimed at? If you're do you have to be highly technical to understand this? Is this more for the general business audience? Is it bringing people like me who should know better up to speed? Well, give me a sense about who you're aiming these webinars at and who's been enjoying them.
It's I think it's most appropriate for CIOs for sure. So the C-level in that context. Chief data officers, chief analytics officers, probably VPs and directors. It's not deeply technical, but I do have a few very technical slides that a systems administrator or a systems engineer might find interesting. But it's more at kind of the strategy. What's Microsoft doing culturally? Why do we think that they're turning the company around? And I'd say it's more along the strategy layer than it is kind of the implementation layer there, Matthew.
Great. Anything else we should know about the webinar other than just to show up?
Well, let's see. One of the messages that I'm going to drop early on is that, speaking of who should attend, one of the mantras that I am leaving behind wherever I get an opportunity is that business now moves at the speed of software. Like it or not, you can have great facilities, you can have great people, but if you put bad software in their hands, they're going to be no better than that limiting factor of software. So I'm really encouraging C-levels to be a little more informed about the software that's now running their business, because all business now runs at the speed of software, and we have to make smarter decisions about the software we're purchasing. And so that's one of the themes in this message, is that I think Microsoft is building a technology platform for analytics that you can feel comfortable running your business on, and trying to educate folks about why that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, I like to say that it's hard to be running a technology company now if you're not steeped into the technology, and more of all companies are becoming technology companies, including hospitals and health systems and the rest of it. So thank God I'm closer to the end of my career than the start. I think conference companies and bloggers so far, it's on the edge.
Yeah, you're right.
For what you guys do, it's good to be steeped in tech stuff, and it's as you know, as we said, it's changing very, very fast. So very, very interesting, and it's a great story you're putting together. All right, well, we'll leave it there. I've been talking with Dale Sanders from Health Catalyst. He'll be having a webinar April 22nd about Microsoft role in analytics, which sounds like really fascinating. So looking forward to seeing you there. Thanks for your time, Dale.
Likewise. Thanks, Matthew. Have a great day.